It would have been funny if you thought ahead and had a net ready, but too bad.
Hello, welcome to Net of a Rectangular Prism. Learning target is 6G4, represent three-dimensional figures using nets made up of rectangles and triangles, and use the nets to find the surface area of these figures. Your I can statement is I can draw and label the net for a rectangular prism, and we are going to be able to draw today.
Yes, you have to write down this whole learning target, not just the 6G4. Write down the actual description, please. So here's the basic idea of what we're going to do. I'm going to explain this part so Mrs. King doesn't go too fast. We're going to take our rectangular prism here and basically think of it as a cardboard box. We're going to cut open the edges of it and we're going to unfold the box. So this front edge here is going to kind of flip out to the front. The left-hand side is going to slide out to the side. So each of those sides are going to kind of unfold, and we're going to look at the whole thing as a flat net. A net is just a picture of showing all the sides of our three-dimensional shape. It takes a little bit of practice to get used to kind of
we're going to ask you to label
unfolding
with
everything.
Words and with numbers. So we're going to have to make sure that we go slow.
So we're going to start with ours over here. It's got dimensions of 3, 4, and 2. But we're really going to stop and kind of break things down one piece at a time. The best way to do it is to start with the bottom edge. And I'm going to try and draw as neatly as I can. It's a 3 by 4 rectangle.
And yes, you have grid paper, so we're expecting you to draw 3 by 4 using the dimensions. You're going to want to start your drawing a little bit farther down, almost in the center of your grid paper, so you have plenty of room to draw to the up, down, to the sides of your drawing. You got a 3 by 4? He's going to label it 3 by 4, and he's also going to put the words bottom on it. So we need words and measurements for everything that we're doing.
So every single piece should have its own label, both of a name and its dimensions.
He's now moving to the side, right?
I'm going to do the side? Okay.
Yeah, and he's going to color code it for you just to make sure that you can visually see. This is the right side. So we're going to draw.
Notice it's 4 by 2, but if you were to picture the side, it's going to tip out to the side. It's going to unfold along this bottom edge.
And he's going to be careful. He already has a 4 in the bottom, and we know that opposite sides are congruent in a rectangle. So the 4 has to stay parallel to the other 4, which means the 2 needs to go on the top and bottom.
So notice how the 4s are running in the same direction because they're the same length. And then we're going to label this one as the right face.
Then he's going to go ahead. Are you going to give me a left side in red too while you're at it?
Yeah. So now we're going to take this left-hand side. So think of a rectangular prism. Notice how every time you look at one side, the opposite side, the one on the other side of it, is the exact same shape and size. So here's our left. This one's going to tip out to the left, but again, it's got the same measurements. This vertical distance is the same one as this one over here. It's 2 inches high. This distance going back is the same as this congruent side over here of 4. So again, we have a 2 by 4.
So he's going to go
the 4 is already here.
ahead and make sure that the 4 is parallel or running the same direction as the other 4, and that the 2 is the base.
So the nice part is we already had the 4 there, so we know where the 4 goes. The 2 goes in the opposite direction. But another way to do it is there's always matching pairs, so your right and your left should both be the same measurements for us.
I was going to do that for you. Now you got to erase.
All right.
All right, now it's time to do the top and the back.
How about we do the front?
The front. That's what I meant. The front and the back.
So here's our front
Different
face.
color. We have a front and a back.
So this front, kind of pictured if we were to cut that, it's going to tip towards us out to the front. It's got a base of 3 and a height of 2. So
Again,
we're going to do a 3
those
by
opposite
2.
sides are congruent.
But notice we already did the bottom down here. It shares this edge of 3 inches. So from our bottom, it's going to share this common edge. That's our 3. The 2 is going to tip out away from it. So we're going to label it 2 by 3.
And it's really important to remember that your 2s meet up in a corner, because if a box didn't have a corner, the contents of the box would fall out. So those 2s need to match.
So notice if we were to fold those back up, those 2s would be the same measurement because those 2 edges would meet up with each other.
So we got a front and we need a back.
So always think of them in pairs. We did the front, so the back is hiding back here. And sometimes tracing it on the actual three-dimensional figure really can help. But the back is going to flip backwards. But again, the base here is the same as this one here. So it's going to be 3, and it shares it down here. Your other measurement is going to be your 2, which tips out towards the back. So we have 2 by 3.
We need to label it back. So we have one more.
And this is the one you're most likely to forget about.
Because right now we only have 5 sides, and a rectangular prism has 6. So we have to go back. The color that we are missing is the top. And you have a couple of options on where to put the top.
Let's go this way because I left room for it.
Okay, let's go that way. We need to look at our measurements that are parallel to each other. So we've got a 4.
So
what are you doing?
4 this way. Sorry, I was just kind of showing which side it matches with.
Me. Yeah, that's a 4. And then we have a 3 on the front that we need to match up with the 3 on the top.
Okay. So
it should also be congruent to the other blue rectangle that we've already drawn, which is a 3 by 4. So we know we've done it correct.
So I'm going to picture it as, picture the top stays connected to the right-hand side. So the right-hand side tips down, and then the top flips all the way out to the side. They kind of unhinge from each other. So we already have the right. It shares that common edge of 4. So we have our 4 here. And then it's going to flip out the 3 units in this direction.
And then we have to make sure we label the top.
But notice, like, the colors and the measurements, everything has a matching partner. The top and bottom are the same, the front and back, the left and right each share the same
make sure you
measurement.
have 6 sides. All right, we're ready for our next one.
Let's try another one.
We have a second example looking like a long, like a pop. What is that, a 12-pack?
Sure.
It looks like to me.
So we're going to start with the bottom face here.
Easier to draw. We have a 1 by 5 using the measurement that's on the top.
So the 5 was here, so it's the same here and our same down here.
So we're going to do a 1 by 5. So we need to count over 5, so make sure you leave yourself enough room. And our height is 1, which is easy to draw. We label the dimensions, and we label it with words, bottom. Okay, then we're moving to the side. The more methodical you are, the less you are to forget, so we're going to keep it red. This time we have a 1 as our base and a 2 as our height. We need to make sure that it matches up with the bottom that we already have drawn. So we have a 1 going that way and a 2 going for our base. We label the dimensions and we add a right to it, and then we go to the other side of the bottom and make sure that we include the left side, which is also a 1 by 2.
So it's 1 by 2 high. So think of it as the opposite of the right is going to tip out to the left by 2. Always look where they're going to match up with the same measurement as the side they're unfolding from. So that's our left.
Okay, now we're ready for our front and our back. Blue.
So let's start with our front.
5 going that way that he just drew. We need to look at what is our height. We can't use that 1. We got to make sure that we grab that 2 that's parallel to the back 2. So we've got a 5 by 2.
Towards us.
The 5's already drawn for us in the bottom, and the 2 needs to match our corners for our right and our left. We're going to label that front.
I'm going to get my measurements on there.
Okay.
And then it's always good to do the matching side with it. So the opposite of the front is the back. It's going to unfold in the opposite direction. So it's going to tip out to the back, but it shares that common edge of 5 with the bottom. So the 5's already there. We want to go out by 2. So 2 by 5, and we call that the back. And this is where a lot of you are going to go, oh, good, we got them all, we're done.
No, that's only 5. We got to make sure that we finish with the top that matches the bottom. So back to the top, we've got a 5. Be careful, 5 by 1.
So which way do we want it to tip this time?
You don't have room on the left, so maybe you want to go in front of the front?
All right. So let's say the front's going to tip out, and then the top is going to come with it and flip all the way out here.
Remember, that 5 has to stay parallel, so the only other thing that you can add is the 1 for the height.
So we have a 1 by 5, and my measurement here got in my way, but I can squeeze in the top there. So think of each one of them as unfolding, and those measurements go with it until we can see all 6 sides of our rectangular prism.
Have a good night.